Starbreeze and Payday 2 resuming development. So, I want to provide a little context for this, as this was kind of recent last week. Winds of change, a message from the new Starbreeze CEO. So, for those who aren't familiar, Starbreeze published like Chronicles of Riddick and one of my personal favorites, Syndicate, and also Payday 2. And one of their development studios, Overkill, released The Walking Dead. Overkill's The Walking Dead. Now, this game was... there were numerous other issues, but this game was so bad that it caused them to lose the license for The Walking Dead. And basically, the company has kind of been in a free fall, though they've made a lot of other bad investments. In May 2015, they invested $8 million into a publishing co-op shooter, Raid World War II. And it's basically a direct competitor to Payday 2. The game flopped so hard, Starbreeze was forced to raise $30 million in a share sale to keep the company afloat until The Walking Dead released. That same month, in 2015, they announced the purchase of the Valhalla game engine for over $8 million. Sources who worked on that said the engine was basically unusable, and 2 years later, they dropped it for Unreal Engine, effectively wasting all that money and dev time with that engine. In 2015, they also spent $2 million on Infinite Eye, like a VR type project. They created their own VR company, Star VR. They secured $9 million from Acer for funding for a sort of high-tech, high-quality VR headset that never got released. And Acer is now looking to basically sell or shut down that company. They made investments of $10 million or more into creating VR experiences for a theme park in Dubai. They also opened up a ton of more studios in multiple locations. And Overkill's The Walking Dead released October 2018 of last year. And like I said, they received such low sales that the license for The Walking Dead was removed from them. They no longer even have the ability to sell the game anymore. So if you look on Steam, it's not on there. Now, at the time that released, their CEO got let go, and you may have been aware of the article that came out talking about how Starbreeze had been raided for insider trading. If you hadn't kept up with basically anything else, you've probably at least seen that headline, Starbreeze raided or something like that. The guy was cleared of all charges, but that was kind of the state of the company. Insider trading basically sold the shares before all this financial instability stuff came out, and people lost faith in the company and wanted to start selling their stock in it. Currently, they're around $44 million in debt. First quarter of 2019, they reported $4.9 million in net sales, with Payday accounting for $2.7 million of that. No revenue was generated from Dead by Daylight, as they sold the rights to that. They also sold the rights to System Shock 3. And basically, they are reporting a loss of $185 million overall. So Starbreeze is not in a good state. And I wanted to bring that up as some context for this. Winds of Change, a new message from the new Starbreeze CEO. So Payday stopped development officially. Posts gone up, Reddit posts gone up, hey, we're done developing this game last year. And now they're revisiting this. And this is what I wanted to talk about. The day-to-day interactions you have with our Overkill devs, community managers, and moderator crew are far more interesting. Our team, together with you, provide a forum where first-hand input can be discussed. I took over the helm in December of last year for the second time. I see myself primarily as the custodian, facilitator of making great games. I'm just here to make sure everything's clean, oiled, and running smoothly. My job is to create an environment where the team can focus on what is important, the game. As many of you may or may not know, our company has gone through something of a purgatory fire in the past year. Because of this, we're announcing a few Payday 2 changes today. Last year, Payday 2 development was stopped. Having reconsidered our future, I've asked the Overkill crew to resume production on Payday 2. The game will have more updates going forward, both paid and free. Now, obviously, this was going to happen. Payday 2 is basically the only game, the only source of revenue that the studio has in terms of video games. I'm not too sure on how the VR stuff is doing, but I would assume it's not super great. And as far as them publishing other things or developing other things, aside from Payday 3, I'm not too aware of anything else, and I don't know if they have any other dealings. It's a Swedish company, so I'm not too familiar with it, aside from just the video game stuff. So the only game that you have, you need to resume production on it in some sort of live service, especially when it's a game that has been going for the past 6 years. I'm pretty sure Payday 2, let me double check this. Payday 2, 2013. Yeah. For 6 years, this game has been out, and people have been paying for the DLC and continuing to play this game. It's, for those who don't know, it's a first-person co-op shooter. You and your squad sort of raid banks and stores and stuff and steal. The team is working hard on the first new update. I'll let the team present it soon, TM, but you can get a sneak peek here. We're reintroducing the DLC smorgasbord again. An a la carte option of previous legacy content DLCs will be made available starting today. As part of our journey into the future, we'll be changing the Payday 2 Ultimate Edition to Payday 2 Legacy Collection starting later today. We want to be able to move forward together with all of you in our community, and to be able to do this, we need to retire the promise of free future content based on old assumptions. More below. So the Payday 2 Ultimate Bundle was a kind of one-stop shop for all things Payday. You'd buy that, and every DLC that came out, you'd have access to it. Now, over the course of 6 years, a lot has changed, not only in terms of game development and monetization of games, but also for Starbreeze, like I mentioned earlier, as they became more and more desperate, and as the monetization models of games slowly changed, they incorporated a lot of that stuff. There were originally posts about how they would never incorporate microtransactions. They would never have like loot crates or anything like that. They went back on that 2 years ago, I want to say. They started adding loot crates and chests that you could open and other things that you could purchase. But it's hard when something needs to be continuously updated and you need money to not have to rethink going back on kind of a promise you made in a Reddit forum post 5 years ago about not monetizing anything. So I was not really too upset about it. I kind of recognized that, okay, if you bought the Payday 2 Ultimate Edition for 70 or 80, somewhere around there, you've basically received 6 years worth of free DLC. And there's a lot of DLC. We can go through all the DLC, but there's maybe in the range of 40-ish DLCs, from maps to characters to weapons to new perks to skills to music to like, there's a ton of shit. So the Ultimate Edition is now becoming the Legacy Collection, which before I started recording this, the Legacy Collection, there's basically 2 more DLCs that I don't have for the Legacy Collection. And each of those are like $1, $2 or something like that. But then everything else moving forward is going to be, like he mentioned, a la carte. Here's one DLC, here's one DLC, here's one DLC. And they're probably going to rethink the monetization models of it, instead of being $1.99 or $2.99 to maybe be a little bit more, since this is basically how they're going to have to keep afloat to pay for, hopefully, Payday 3, if that ever gets released in 2 to 3 years. New curated bundles on existing content will be created to give offers to new and returning players. Maybe like a complete weapon bundle or complete map pack bundle or the complete character bundle, something like that. But in the beginning of this wall of text, I mentioned the purgatory fire we've been through in the past months and challenges we are still facing. To keep it relevant, I'll condense some of the background to this here. Most of the details can be found on the website. Late 2018, Starbreeze found itself in an acute liquidity shortfall. In December, they entered into reconstruction, which is when the previous CEO was let go. Similar to US version of Chapter 11. On December 3rd, we only had projected cash reserves to run the company until mid-January 2019. This was how serious the situation had become. Since then, we've been able, through extremely hard work and commitment, to stay afloat, clean up our business, and start thinking about our future and the future of Payday. We're not entirely there yet, but we're starting to look at what's ahead. Payday 2 Legacy Collection and a la carte. To get it out of the door immediately, yes, I know we're breaking a promise. We do not do so easily or take it lightly. At one point, our company believed that the interest and engagement in Payday 2 would decline over time as new internal games were released. Well, Payday 2 is kind of one of those weird games like Warframe that if you don't really play it, you don't recognize it or think about it, but then you look at like, oh, what games are people playing? What games are people spending money on? Really? Warframe? There's like 7 million people playing Warframe? Okay. It's kind of one of those that's a lot of people still play this game. A lot of people still spend money on this, even if you not are part of that group. Resources were needed on new projects, and production of Payday 2 was scheduled to stop, and no more updates to come. By popular demand, this deadline was extended, but development on Payday 2 ultimately shut down December 2018. It was also believed that the sheer amount of 6 years of DLC releases was confusing for returning or new players and a blocker for people to get into the game. I can see this. I mean, if you purchase any game that has so much DLC, that's kind of like, okay, well, am I not getting the full experience? If I pay for Payday 2, do I have to buy all of the stuff? I mean, look at how many characters they added and all these weapons. Do I need these? Can I join your game if I don't have the map that you own? At the same time, getting the game with all of its content was coming in above $200. Hence, the Ultimate Edition was born as a package deal. It was basically get everything in a package until we release Payday 3. We're breaking the Ultimate Edition promise of forever free content. The reasoning is plain and simple. We want to move forward and make more of Payday 2. And to do so, we need your support to continue producing content. New DLCs will be a mix of paid and free updates. So basically, the Ultimate Edition will become the Legacy Collection, and we've now offered a la carte options for DLC. Now, I hope this game is successful. I like this studio. I really do like Payday 2. I really enjoyed Syndicate, and when news of Payday 3 came out, I was excited for it. And similarly to how I feel about Respawn, okay, I don't really give a shit about The Walking Dead, but it's supposed to be like a Left 4 Dead type game. And if the reviews are good, sure, I like the studio. Maybe it's cool. But I didn't stop playing Payday 2 because I had completed everything, because I had done all the missions and gotten all the achievements and leveled up to max level. I've only played maybe 200 hours total. I think my Steam has me at 117, and then across other consoles, maybe 80 to 90 more hours, somewhere around there. But it wasn't like I had completed everything. I was kind of just done with it. I mean, again, the game is 6 years old, and it's hard for me to imagine going back to something like this. Like, new maps are not the reason why I stopped playing this game in the first place. I didn't stop playing because I had played all the characters and maxed them out, and I had maxed out my infamy, and there was nothing left to experience in the game. There were tons of new missions and tons of new difficulties. I haven't done everything on like Nightmare or Death Wish or, I haven't done all that stuff. And I had gotten my fill for it. And I don't know about, I understand the premise behind it. We need to start monetizing this project again, and I wish him the best, but I can't really see a 6-year-old game's DLC as being a large enough revenue generator to keep the company afloat for multiple years until their next game actually releases. Especially with kind of the track record ever since Chronicles of Riddick, where the games are pretty good, but they're around the 60, 70, 80-ish range. It's not like, oh my God, you have to buy a PlayStation 4 to play God of War. You have to buy a PlayStation to play Last of Us. It's not like, these are 90 and above games that sell consoles, that get people completely interested in it, even if they otherwise maybe wouldn't have thought about it. And I wish him the best. I think the Border War thing had already come out since then, available November 7th. So in 2 more days, their first new map pack is coming out. I wish it the best. I just wanted to kind of talk about this and how we got to this weird place. I don't think I'm going to be playing this anymore. I had, ironically enough, before this was posted, I had re-downloaded Payday 2 because I wanted to talk about how good the soundtrack was and do a video about sort of the genius of Payday's soundtrack. So maybe I got to eat the words I just said. Maybe I will play it for, maybe I get completely sucked in again. But who knows? Maybe this completely turns things around for them. Maybe it's just another like little lifeline, and then a few months down the road, hey, we can't really keep an entire company afloat from DLC sales from a 6-year-old game. So yeah, anyway, best of luck. That's kind of my update on Starbreeze and Payday 2. I'll catch you guys in the next video. Bye.